Ready for another class reunion? We're going to the year 1990. A new decade was upon us. I was a freshman in high school, going into my sophomore year. Operation Desert Shield began. Foxx launched a very funny show that probably wouldn't fly today. Michael Bolton, Paula Abdul, and Atlanta Miles were on the radio. It was a very exciting time. And GM launched a new line of cars. You remember which ones? Where were you in 1990? Before we jump into the show, reminders, we have a different episode coming your way every Friday on my YouTube channel. You're probably watching it here now, so make sure to smash that subscribe button. Maybe that's going to get me more subscribers if I say that. Facebook page, Facebook group, Instagram, Class Reunion with Chris Logan. TikTok, Class Reunion with Chris Logan. So I welcome any direct messages. You want to comment on my YouTube videos, that's cool too. If you want to email me, you can. Classreunion with Chris Logan at gmail.com. And I have a couple items, if you will, today. I have my yearbook from 1990, Church Point High School, and a couple other things in there too. I have a certificate, which I'll show you, and a homecoming picture. We'll get to that maybe when we talk about fashion. All right, that sounds like a deal. Good. So Facebook photos, yearbook photos coming up. If you had $100 in 90, it would be worth about $207 today. Did you invest back in 1990? A new house cost $123,000. The average income, $28,970 per year. The average cost of a new car, $16,000. NASA's STS-31 mission deployed the Hubble Space Telescope in April. Mission launched from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This was a sophisticated telescope. It was carried on the space shuttle, deployed by the 5-person crew. They filmed the process using an IMAX camera. The Hubble Telescope was the first space telescope put into orbit that could be repaired and maintenance by astronauts. The mission lasted 5 days. They returned to Earth, landing at Edwards Air Force Base. Now look at this thing. It looks like a rolled up burrito. With aluminum foil on it. I'm not saying it's not real. I'm not starting any conspiracy theories or anything like that, but that's the Hubble Telescope. I didn't remember this at all. When I was searching for some pics, kind of brought back some memories because I don't remember anything I learned in 1990. I mean, how many of you remember what you learned in high school? Is it just me? One of the largest and most well-preserved Tyrannosaurus rex fossilized skeleton was found by paleontologist Sue Hendrickson near Faith, South Dakota. The skeleton was named Sue after the lady who discovered it. Sue was over 90% complete and measured about 13 feet tall and 40 feet long. Check this out. The official demolition of the Berlin Wall began in June. The wall had been built in 1961 by communist-run East Germany to prevent defectors from traveling over to the capitalist-run Western Germany. And control of the Berlin Wall ended in November of 1989 when it was announced that East German citizens would be allowed to cross the border with complete freedom. The removal of the wall began in June of 1990, and by October, the reunification of West and East Germany was completed. Demolition on the wall was finished in 1992. If you came up in this time, you remember this very well. Led to a lot of conflict in the region, but Saddam Hussein ordered the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, which brought on Operation Desert Shield. The U.S. sent troops to Kuwait, and then on with the Gulf War. We stayed in that region for a very long time. Saturn Cars were launched by General Motors, like this one. Did you have one in the early to mid-90s? My wife, she was my fiance, my girlfriend at the time, but she had a gold Saturn in 1995. I think she probably kept it, I don't know, for 5 or 6 years. A 7.4 magnitude earthquake happened in Iran. the death toll was estimated between 35,000 and 50,000 people. That was big. And that's, that's a big range for an estimated death toll, right? 35,000 to 50,000 people died, and up to 135,000 were injured. We also entered a major recession that year. Microsoft released Windows 3.0. And I don't remember this that much, this video game, the Atari Lynx portable color entertainment system was priced at $169. Ladies, I'm going to talk to you for just a second. Do you remember New Kids on the Block? All right, that was a dumb question. You did. But do you remember this? The toys that came out, the New Kids on the Block play figures. So Danny and Donnie and Joe and Jordan and Jonathan were available. They had their own little doll, and they had this set put together, had a 15-minute cassette and all sorts of cool stuff. And ladies, did you go have a sleepover at your friend's house, went to your mama's house, whoever's house, and did you not have a New Kids on the Block sleeping bag? The Sci-Fi Channel on cable TV began transmitting. Some of the names we had in pop music: Aerosmith, Babyface, Bobby Brown, Depeche Mode, In Vogue, Heart, Janet Jackson, Johnny Gill, Keith Sweat, Lisa Stansfield, Luther Vandross, Madonna, Mariah Carey, MC Hammer, you can't touch this, Michael Bolton, Michael Jackson, Motley Crue, Pebbles, Phil Collins, Prince, Roxette. Stevie B had him a number one, and that was his only number one. We'll get to that a little bit later. Taylor Dane, Whitney Houston, some of the big names. But music was not that exciting in 1990. I don't know. We'll visit that coming up too, because some of the top songs, like the number one song, How Am I Supposed to Live Without You by Michael Bolton. Now look, that cat could sing. He had a voice, very strong. And a lot of people dug Michael Bolton at the time. But music was kind of what we called AC, very, very soft in 1990. Opposites Attract, Paula Abdul. Escapade, Janet Jackson. Black Velvet by Alana Miles. Love Would Lead You Back by Taylor Dane. I'll Be Your Everything by Tommy Page. Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor. Right? All big songs, but not that exciting. Madonna's Vogue. Wilson Phillips, Hold On. It Must Have Been Love by Roxette round out the top 10. And we'll dig a little bit more into music, again, coming up later. Milli Vanilli was my first concert at the Cajun Dome. Milli Vanilli's producer revealed that the dudes were lip syncing, and then it just kind of all went downhill from there. Popular movies. We'll start at number 10, The Godfather Part 3. Edward Scissorhands. I remember watching that. Very strange movie, but it was good. Dick Tracy. Die Hard Part 2 was released. Total Recall, The Hunt for Red October. This was a big movie. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they were very, very popular. Late 80s, like 89, early 90s. Pretty Woman. Dances with Wolves. Ghost. And number one, this one. Home Alone. Oh, wait, that's Joe Burrow. Not Joe Burrow. Kevin McAllister is who we need. But don't they both resemble each other? I didn't remember this at all. In January, the Leaning Tower of Pisa was closed to visitors for the first time due to fears of the overall safety of the building. They thought the building would fall. Engineers worked on restructuring and stabilizing the building. They took some weight out of the tower, straightening about 18 inches. And by December of 2001, 11 years later, it was reopened to the public and declared stable. Now, the Leaning Tower of Pisa had originally been constructed over a span of 200 years. Side note. It was built between the 1170s and the 1370s, and the tilt began to form almost immediately, caused by building on a poor foundation and soft soil. The Leaning Tower of Pisa. Madonna. When you talk Madonna, she's always been popular, right? She came in the mid-'80s, like A Virgin, Borderline, Lucky Star, those songs. And then she always, and this is my opinion, reinvented herself. Well, in 1990, she reinvented herself because Vogue was put out. She had her Blonde Ambition tour. She took on a whole new look. Remember with the pointy bras? Yep. She had a fling with Warren Beatty. There was a documentary about the tour that was very risque. She had a water bottle incident. Now, I'm not going to go into that, but she reinvented herself going into the 90s. The most popular TV shows. Now, again, as I mentioned on my other episodes, not necessarily released this year in 1990, but the most popular. Cosby Show, Different World, Roseanne, 60 Minutes, and Cheers, number 1. Boy, Fox had a hit with In Living Color, which launched in April. I really liked In Living Color because I was always into to funny stuff, and I still am. I gravitate more towards funny movies, funny sitcoms, shows like that. But man, the lineup that In Living Color had and what all those guys and gals turned into: Keenen Ivory Wayans, Damon Wayans, Sean Wayans, Marlon Wayans. Jim Carrey got his start on In Living Color. David Alan Grier, Tommy Davidson, Kim Coles, and we can't forget about Jamie Foxx. Now, I wanted to get some video of this, but probably would have been flagged for copyright. But you remember the Men on Films? You remember this and the hated it? Look, this was risque in 1990, and I don't know. I mean, it lasted a few years on Fox, but launched a ton of careers, but very risque. I don't think this would fly now. Nothing would fly now. I mean, just a mere, 10, 15 so years ago, Dave Chappelle, sort of reinvented comedy on TV. That, with the cancel culture, wouldn't really fly now. But remember, Jamie Foxx had Wanda, funny, and Jim Carrey had Fire Marshal Bill. Man, that was some good stuff. The Cincinnati Reds won the World Series. They beat the Oakland A's 4-0. The Reds were a hot team in the early 90s. Lou Piniella, Tony La Russa. Reds had names like Eric Davis, Chris Sabo, Barry Larkin. Remember the Nasty Boys? I do. That was Norm Charlton, Randy Myers, and Rob Dibble. The A's had Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, Ricky Henderson, Harold Baines, Dennis Eckersley, and also Dave Henderson. And I would still say that, boy, it would be hard to really pick the most popular sport in 1990 and the early 90s. Because football was popular, basketball was popular, but baseball too. How about the 10 cool food and beverage trends for the year? And I'm going to give you all 10, right? Because like these, I was like, okay, yep, and yep. Totino's Pizza Rolls, Totino's Stuffed Nachos, SpaghettiOs, Slim Fast is number 7, Gordon's Fish Sticks, Dunkaroos, number 5. Chicken Caesar Salad, number 4. Bologna was number 3. Beefaroni, number 2. And number 1, do you remember this jingle? Pizza in the morning, pizza in the evening. Check it out.
Now you can give them pizza whenever they want. Pizza in the morning, pizza in the evening, pizza at supper time. When pizza's on a bagel, you can eat pizza anytime. Pizza Bagel Bites. Bite-sized pizzas on wholesome little bagel.
Yep. Bagel Bites, number 1 that year, the most popular food. The minivan was popular. Ford had an Astro van. No. Ford had, Chevy had the Astro van. Ford had I think it was the Astroliner, had that slanted front. And then Plymouth had the Voyager and had the Dodge Caravan. These minivans were coming onto the scene. If you had a Plymouth Voyager minivan, You paid $14,995 for it. Now, we had one like this, probably 87, 88. We didn't have the Plymouth Voyager. We had the Dodge minivan, but we had one just like this, the two-tone with the blue and the wood center. Remember these? A CD player. Boy, big money. $160 to $200. Remember these standalone CD players? A Tandy 1000 RL, the computer, was $800. These big bad boys. On the last day of trading, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at 2,633. In the world of basketball, the NBA champions, the Detroit Pistons, they beat the Portland Trail Blazers 4-1. Let me run down some names, because on the Portland Trail Blazers, you had Clyde Drexler, Kevin Duckworth, Jerome Kersey, Drazen Petrovic. You had Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, John Sally, Bill Laimbeer, Vinnie Johnson on the Detroit Pistons. Some big names in basketball. You know, for me at the time, probably my most favorite sport was basketball. We played a lot of basketball early in my high school years. I played on the basketball team. Wait, let me come back. I was on the basketball team in 1990, the Church Point High School Bears. So look, I wanted to pull this up. So this is a, watch, let me go to this camera. I'm going to go to this camera. I'm producing it myself today. This is a Church Point High School Athletic Award for playing basketball. Coach and the principal didn't sign it. So is it really legit? I don't know. Watch, let me get to, and I didn't, okay, so here it is. This was the team right here as well. Look, this was the basketball team at Church Point High School in 1990. Where am I? Let's see. I am here. Bending down right there. And we had a pretty good team, because you see, we went to the playoffs, and you see these two guys right here. That was Solomon Citizen. Solomon was 6'8", if I remember, and my buddy Joey Vidrine. I still keep in touch with Joey from time to time. I believe Joey was 6'7", or Solomon was 6'9", Joey was 6'8". Anyway, but we had two big guys, and we were pretty good. But I was a freshman, and even into my sophomore year, let me see if I can switch back. There we go. And funny story, side story. So we had the old gear. And that happens a lot when you're a freshman. You get the old gear. So Church Point High, the colors were black and gold. But our stuff was so old. So you see, they had the cool warm-ups. They had the newer ones that were silk. We had the cloth. And they were so old, they didn't have any buttons. The gold was really gold. And the Bears that was supposed to be in black was purple. So we were almost like LSUE or LSU. And so, did we play much? Not really. Here's what would happen. And our coach was Coach Leeward Bellard. He's the principal now at Church Point High School. And look, me and my friends, Ronnie and Jason and Chad, we were playing, and we would sit towards the end of the bench, like all freshmen did. And we would get in the JV games for the last 5 minutes. And we knew it. Like, if there was a pretty good lead, Coach Bellard would come to the end, and he would say, you, and you. And that was us five. We were almost like the Fab Five, but not really. And we would get in the last, 5-8 seconds of every game. So there you go. A personal story about playing basketball at Church Point High School. In an attempt to lower the amount of saturated fat in their food, McDonald's began to cook their French fries in vegetable oil. They were cooking it in beef fat before that. Some of the popular Christmas gifts include Batman, Bob Mackie Barbie, Nintendo Game Boy came out, and the Super Mario World video game. Also, Joe Montana football came out for the Sega Genesis. Was that Sega Genesis answer to Tecmo Bowl? Fashion trends in 90 included solid colors, army surplus clothing, khakis, Oxford shirts, plain white Keds, ballet flats, oversized sweatshirts, sports jackets, starter jackets and stuff like that was popular. Flannel shirts began to be popular because that was at the forefront of the grunge scene. Sweatpants, silk shirts, turtlenecks under cardigans or sweaters or under your button-down polo shirt. Boy, we used to rock that. And look, that's kind of coming back because I've seen a few people rocking a sweater and a turtleneck with the gold chain. So that look is coming back. But we had Brothers in the Acadiana Mall, and that was a place to get Tommy Hilfiger. And Tommy Hilfiger was coming in 1990. Girbauds, still popular around here. Z Cavaricci's still popular. But let me show you my look from 1990. All right? Let me switch the camera here. I'm gonna get a better shot. So this is me at Church Point High School homecoming dance. What was it? Teddy Bear Madness homecoming 1990. Look at that dude, right? Look, now you see my date was wearing kind of an oversized jacket. I had the khakis on and the plaid shirt. It was maroon. I think I had some penny loafers there. Wasn't Tommy Hilfiger though. I think we had got it from Stage or somewhere else. It was a knockoff. You know, because when I was coming up, right, I didn't get everything that I wanted. When I wanted something expensive, I had to pay for half of it. And I, looking back, I thought that was cool. So I had the opportunity to work with my dad. My dad built houses. I worked with him during every summer. I mean, for as long as I can remember, and he can wake me up at 5:30 in the morning. Like, that's what I was doing. And even in high school. So I was using some of that money to, get me a pair of Girbauds, get me shoes, get me things for homecoming. But as for, and I want to break out the yearbook, because when I was in school in 1990, we didn't have any uniforms. Now, I don't want to call anybody out, but look, I just opened this. We're going to come back to this angle here. And this will show some fashion in 1990. You got. I think that's a polo shirt there, right? And then look at those Girbauds. Look at that Oxford shirt. Check out these jeans. And the girls still had the big hair in 1990. Like you see this one here. Look, check that out. It's kind of some big hair right there. I'm sorry for calling you out, but hey. That's good. So flipping through this, I'm seeing big hair. Watch. Let me go to the senior pics. I'll show you some big hair and bangs. My sister-in-law, look, she graduated in 1990. She's going to kill me for calling her out. But look, she's rocking those bangs like everyone else was. Look, you got this. You got a little mullet right here. Kevin got a little mullet. A lot of bangs, a lot of hairspray still in 1990. So, the 80s still had its influence in the early 90s. Big hair was still there. So some sayings, quotes in 1990, maybe freak out was some of the popular ones. Chill out was still popular. And eat my shorts because of Bart Simpson and the Simpsons cartoon, which also launched on Fox. Super Bowl. The San Francisco 49ers demolished the Denver Broncos 55-10. The game was played, by the way, at the Louisiana Superdome on January 28th. 49ers were in beast mode, dynasty mode. Yeah, names like Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Roger Craig, Charles Haley, Ronnie Lott. Denver had John Elway. They had a couple other good players. If you're a defensive person in football, you remember the name Steve Atwater. He played for the Broncos. Gonna get into some music. And I mentioned earlier that music was mellow in 1990. Number ones, Phil Collins, Another Day in Paradise. Michael Bolton, How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? Opposites Attract by Paula Abdul. That was kind of upbeat. Janet Jackson's Escapade. Black Velvet by Alana Miles. Taylor Dane, Love Will Lead You Back. Mentioned these earlier. New Kids on the Block. They had a number one. Glenn Medeiros and Bobby Brown, She Ain't Worth It. Mariah Carey was coming onto the scene. She had Vision of Love. John Bon Jovi, Blaze of Glory, which was from the Young Guns soundtrack. Let's see what else. Nelson, Love and Affection. Remember the twins, Nelson, the blonde twins? Maxi Priest, Close to You. George Michael. James Ingram. Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby had a number one. And then Stevie B had his only number one song. Now, around here in Louisiana and Acadiana, Stevie B's known for Spring Love and his other dance songs. But his only number one was a ballad. It was a slow song, Because I Love You, the Postman song. Remember that one? Let's take a look at the Billboard Hot 100. So that was that was a top 10. But you had Belle Biv DeVoe. Popular, Do Me was number 11. Technotronic, Pump Up the Jam. Okay, we're getting into some exciting music here. Let's see. Callaway, I Want to Be Rich. Johnny Gill, Rub You the Right Way. What else? Snap the Power. Poison. You know, this was still, hair bands were still there, but then we're coming into the grunge scene, and Nirvana and all those guys started taking over. New Kids on the Block, Billy Joel, We Didn't Start the Fire. So you had very AC leaning, slower stuff, and a lot of R&B stuff happening in 1990. Let's see. MC Hammer, Have You Seen Her? Milli Vanilli's Blame It on the Rain, even though they were lying to us. And look, my buddy Fast, when I used to work with him and we would play Milli Vanilli, you'll never hear Blame It on the Rain the same way again. Because when I'm listening to Blame It on the Rain, I think it's Blame It on Lorraine. Listen to it. It sounds like they're saying Blame It on Lorraine. But Phil Collins, Aerosmith, Bad English, Tesla's Love Song was 90. Skid Row's I Remember You, Go West, King of Wishful Thinking. That's personally one of my favorites. And if I'm not mistaken, that was on the Pretty Woman soundtrack. Cher, Just Like Jesse James. Wow. Dino, Romeo. Babyface, Whip Appeal. Let's see, Paul Abdul, still on the Hot 100. Keith Sweat, Make You Sweat. Michael Bolton again, The Time. Biz Marquee, Just a Friend. That wasn't boring. Jive Bunny and the Master Mixers. Swing the Mood was on the Billboard Hot 100. And this one here, number 100 on the year-end Billboard chart. Kuiper, Tic-Tac-Toe. And that's a Louisiana guy, Kuiper. And he had a big song. When it came to country was about to launch into superstardom. Country was about to become hot. And in saying hot, very popular. You may remember Hot Country 99.1 KXKC if you are from the Louisiana, Acadiana area. They didn't launch in 1990. I believe they launched in 1992, if I remember right. And if I'm wrong on that, Renee, please forgive me. But so KXKC launched, and they launched as Hot Country. And country was about to get popular. Around here, it was so popular, we had dudes with jabots on and laced up ropers. That's how popular country was, and it was all also launched by Garth Brooks. He took country into superstardom. But I wanted to run down a little bit of the hot country singles, or just the country singles in 90. Keith Whitley was popular, Clint Black, Nobody's Home, Randy Travis, Lori Morgan, Dan Seals, Travis Tritt, Ricky Van Shelton, George Strait. So you had these artists, Garth Brooks breaking onto the scene with The Dance, Shenandoah, Alabama, Garth Brooks, Friends in Low Places, 1990. And all this began a big country launch. You know, people say how country is too pop right now. You know, you come back at this time, the early 90s, although they still had fiddles, steel guitars, still had a country sound to it. The early 90s, in my opinion, you may disagree with me here, but the early 90s brought in a very pop feel to country, even though country had a country sound, if that makes any sense. R&B, Babyface, let's see, Regina Belle, Lisa Stansfield, All Around the World, Troop After 7, Belle Biv DeVoe, mentioned them, Johnny Gill, In Vogue, Hold On, Tony, MC Hammer's You Can't Touch This. I mentioned Keith Sweat. He was on the Billboard Hot 100, In Vogue. Prince. When did Prince change his name to The Symbol? That was probably 91, 92. He had some great music around that time, too. Ralph Tresvant had broke into his own world at the time from New Edition. So all in all, some good stuff. But just really, for me, pop music, not that exciting in 1990. The best-selling car was the Honda Accord, and I remember these. The best-selling truck was the Ford F-Series. Remember these? My dad had a 91 or 92 Ford F-250 as his work truck, so I was very familiar with these trucks. And what about this? We're going to wrap up 1990 with this. These shoes were popular. They were a little pricey. I had a pair. I had a black pair. And if I remember right, I told you earlier that I had to work and pay for half of the things that I wanted if they were pricey, like the fancy jeans and shirts and shoes and stuff like that. But I ended up getting me a pair of Reebok pumps. Remember these?
Hey, I can imitate almost anything, but no one can imitate the pump. The original, the pump, from Reebok.
Did you have a pair of Reebok pumps? You could get white ones, you can get black ones. You squeeze it and it tightens up and it gives you a good fit on your foot so you can play basketball. That's going to wrap up 1990. Next week, where do we go? Let's go to 1986. That was also a great year for music. That was a great year for some movies, too. We'll visit a lot of that in the next episode. Remember, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Smash that subscribe button. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook group, Class Reunion with Chris Logan. TikTok is Class Reunion with Chris Logue. You can direct message me. I invite you to comment on my YouTube videos. You can go back. You can watch all the other videos that I have. I think, maybe this is number 6, number 7? Something like that. You think I would know that, but I don't. If you want to email me, you can. Classreunion with Chris Logan at gmail.com. I appreciate you watching this class reunion. Until next time.